Here's the chapter review, part number 3, chapter 5, review part number 3, 2021. Find the multiplicative inverse, or the reciprocal of 5. Well, if you think of 5 as a fraction, 5 over 1, the reciprocal, we just flip it. It's 1/5. Now remember, the reason why we call it the multiplicative inverse too is that means whatever you can multiply 5 by to get to 1. So if I did 5 times 1, I have 5 on the top, 1 times 5 on the bottom is going to give me 5. 5 divided by 5 equals 1. So the reciprocal is 1/5. It's the opposite. So, this is an easy one, 1/3. We just flip it. And again, if you think about it, we'd have multiplied it by 1/3 times 3 over 1 or times 3. You end up with 3 over 3, which is 1. Here's where kids get in trouble. What's the reciprocal of 1/2? Well, they do 1 times 2 is 2 plus this 1, and they say that it's 3/2. No, it's not. These are the exact same thing. They're equal. This is a mixed number. That's an improper fraction. The reciprocal is when you turn it upside down, the improper fraction. Okay, so be careful of that. Here we have x divided by 12 equals 5. Well, the way you get rid of divided by 12 is to multiply by 12. And you have to do that on both sides. So put our railroad tracks in here. The 12s cancel out. So you're just left with x on this side, and then 5 times 12 is 60. Okay, let's move this guy over, and here we have 3 is equal to k divided by 16. Well, again, this is divide by 16. The opposite of divide by 16 is to multiply by 16 on both sides. Put in our little railroad tracks. Our 16s cross off. You have k left equals 16 times 3, which is 48. Now you can substitute your answers in. You can see that that's right. 48 divided by 16 is 3. 60 divided by 12 is 5. This one's a little more complicated. Now we have 3/8 m equals 6. Well, it's not as easy to see what the answer is, but the way you get rid of 3 divided by 8, or 3/8, is to multiply by the reciprocal, which is 8/3. Again, back to making this m whole. These dudes cross off. Let me put my railroad tracks in here. You're left with m on this side, and now you have 6 times 8/3. Well, think of those as multiplying fractions here. Divide by 3 here, divide by 2 here, and all of a sudden you can just multiply across. You got 1 on the bottom, and you got 16 on the top. So this is m equals 16. All right. Let's see. This one here, I'm going to have to move this guy over. So 4 is equal to 2/3 m. Well, again, we don't care what 2/3 of an m is. We want to know what the whole m is. So we get rid of this 2/3 by multiplying by the reciprocal, which is 3/2. The 3's cross off. The 2's cross off. We're left with m on this side, and on this side we have to multiply this by the same thing. Okay. So when we multiply the fractions on that side, we can divide by 2 here, it's 1. Divide by 2 here, it's 2. 3 divided by 2 is 6. Could it be that easy? Well, let's think about it. Is 2/3 of 6 4? Well, sure. 1/3 of 6 is 2. 2/3 is 4. 3/3, or the whole thing, would be 6. All right, now I can divide fractions without a calculator. So we have 4/5 divided by 1/2. Okay, so remember, we're going to keep the first fraction. We're going to change the sign. We're going to flip the second fraction. Keep, change, flip. Then we can multiply across. 4 times 2, we've got 8. 5 times 1, we have 5. We have 8/5, which is 8 divided by 5. 8 divided by 5 goes into 1 time. We've got 3 left over. It's 1 3/5. Equals 1 3/5. Okay. Here, we're going to have to move this guy down a little bit. Here we have 1/2 divided by 1/8. Again, we'll keep it. we'll change it. We flip the fraction upside down. Now we can cross reduce here. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 8 divided by 2 is 4, so we multiply across. We have 1 times 4 on the top, which is 4. 1 times 1 on the bottom, which is 1. 4 divided by 1 is simply 4. Okay, let's see if I can squeeze this one in. 4/5 divided by 1/3. Notice how I always rewrite it instead of using the slash, using the a fraction bar here. Sorry about that. Let me get that down there so you can see it. Okay, so we'll keep it. We'll change it. We'll flip it. Okay. We can't cross reduce. I can't do anything with 5 and 3, and I can't do anything with 4 and 1. So 4 times 3 is 12. 5 times 1 is 5. We have 12 divided by 5. Let's just think about that. 12 divided by 5. We'll go in there 2 times, would be 10. We've got 2 left over. That's smaller than the divisor, so it's 2 and 2/5. All right. I can divide mixed numbers. Well, these here, right here, 5 and 2/5, and we're dividing that by 1 and 1/2. The first thing we need to do is make them into improper fractions. So 5 times 5 is 25 plus 2. This is 27/5. And 1 times 2 is 2 plus that one is 3/2. Okay, so now we're going to keep it, we're going to change it, and we're going to flip it. So instead of 3/2, we have the 2/3. I can divide by 3, and then I can multiply, because I can't do anything with that 2 and the 5. So 9 times 2 gives me 18. 5 times 1 gets me 5. So 18 divided by 5, that's going to go in there 3 times, and there's 3/5 left over. All right. I'm running out of space here, at least to do it nice and neat. So I'm going to grab a sticky note. Can't find my sticky notes. Rule number 1, making a video, always have your sticky notes handy. All right. So for this guy here, 4 divided by 1, well, that's really just 4 over 1 divided by 1 and 1/2. Again, I rewrite it using a fraction bar instead of the slash. I think it's a lot easier for kids to understand. So we have to make this into an improper fraction. 1 times 2 is 2, plus 1 gives me 3/2. Okay, we can divide by 2 here, it's 1. We can divide by 2 here, it's 2. Oh. Get over. I'm getting ready for bus duty, and people are walking in here. And I'm distracted. It's 4 divided by 1 and 1/2. So let's rewrite that as 4 divided by 1 times 2 is 2, plus 1 makes 3/2. Okay, so now we can do the keep, change, flip. We'll keep this one. We'll change the sign, and we'll flip the other one. Now we can look diagonally, and there's nothing to do there. We can't reduce it. So 4 times 2 is 8 on top. 1 times 3 on the bottom is 3. We have 8/3. 8 divided by 3 goes in there 2 and 2/3 is your answer. Okay, so let me try another sticky note. Well, this one here I can fit in. We can do 3 and 3/8 right here. And we can take and divide that by 2 and 1/4. So let's make them into impropers. 3 times 8 is 24, plus 3 gives me 27/8. And we're dividing that by 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9/4. So now let's do the keep, change, flip. Keep it, change it, flip it. Ooh, lots of cross reduction here. Divide by 9, divide by 4,
Good morning. This is Stacy.
Sorry about that. I paused it so you didn't have to listen to the announcement. So I divided by 9, it's 1. Divided by 9, it's 3. I divided by 4, it's 1. Divided by 4, it's 2. Multiply across, we've got 3 on the top, 2 on the bottom, which is 1 and 1/2. 3 halves is. Okay, let's throw this dude in. Do this one, 3 3/8. Divided by 6 over 1. So let's make this integer improper. 3 times 8 is 24. We're back at 27/8, just like we had in the last problem. Divided by 6 over 1. Now we can keep, change, flip. 27, change, flip. Divide by 3 here, it's 2. Divide by 3 here, it's 9. So when we multiply across, we have 9 on top and 16 on the bottom. That dude's in simplest form. All right, move those up. Take a look at these last 2 problems on here. The Crothers split a pie. Mom ate 15%, Declan ate 20%, Dad ate 40%. How much of the pie was left over? What we could think about this is, if there's 100% in the whole pie, minus the 15%, minus the 20%, minus the 40%. Well, this is 40, 60%, 70%, 75%. That's really the same as 100% minus 75%, which is equal to 25% left over. There's a quarter of the pie left. Mr. Zenso drove 650 miles on a 7-day trip. He rented a car for $20 a day plus 1.5 cents per mile. After 500 free miles, how much did the rental car cost him? Well, he's got the 7-day trip. So you got to pay 7 days at $20 per day. So 7 times 20. 7 times 2 is 14. So he's got $140 for that. But he's also got some miles that he has to do. But he gets some miles free. So if we take the 650 miles, we subtract the 500 free miles, he's actually got 150 miles that he has to pay for. So he has 150 miles times 0.15. Well, we can think about that. 100 miles times 15 cents a mile is just going to be $15. We can, if you take, when you multiply by 100, you can move the decimal to. So that's going to be $15 for that. And then he's got an extra 15 miles. Well, if 50 miles, if 100 miles is $15, half of that is going to be $7.50. That's what he owes for the second. So add those together. He's got $22.50 in miles. So if we add that, 22.50, to that 140, you'll have 162.50. All right. Thanks for listening.